Mitch, I think it'd be good actually, just if you tell us a little bit, because this is about grassroots football and schoolboy football, who you played with in schoolboy and where did you go playing wise and how did you get involved with the coaching to begin with?
Yeah, I suppose my playing career was limited enough in relation to I'm from Wexford originally, so I would have played with a club there called Town Celtic. We're quite successful actually, to be honest. Won a couple of leagues and cups and stuff like that, and got to play for Home Farm. I got moved to Home Farm then quite young, and went over to a pretty unsuccessful period. I was over at Charlton for a little bit in the academy system. Came back and then went into the League of Ireland system. So I went to St James's Gate. Went into a good Shelbourne dressing room. Actually, we talk about dressing rooms and stuff like that. I was there in 93, 94, 95. So there was a lot of good players around that club at the time. And they won an FAI Cup final in that time as well. And that's where I came across Damien Richardson. So kind of that was the kind of the transition from kind of playing to kind of coaching with Home Farm at the same time because I was doing my A license at the time.
What
I was
position
very
were you,
young.
Mitch? Where did you play?
Pardon?
Where did you play on the pitch?
I started as a centre back,
Hmm.
and then when I went to the UK, I was told I was too small to play as a centre back, so they said I had to go play as a centre midfielder. So it was completely different. Like football was completely different then, if you know what I mean. It was very much back to front and second ball, and that was quite. I was good at that stuff. Like it was fit, strong, aggressive.
Hmm.
But in relation to when it got into like the academy games and pushing on the levels, and particularly when I came back to League of Ireland as well, technically I probably wasn't good enough to play in a centre midfield role, to be honest. Being honest with you, so that was a good learning curve for me, developing a new position really quickly within a year and a bit. And at the same time, I was starting out my coaching badges. So I started with it was called the intermediate badge at the time, which has now became the UEFA B. And then started my first day license was in 1994 with the FEI. Um, and that was kind of I got a passion then more so for the coaching side of it because I was working at the same time, trying to commit between coaching, working, and playing just didn't work.
A lot of this podcast is about your approach to coaching, right? And we'll talk about
Yeah.
kind of your current approach with young players and then maybe talk about are the things like you never do anymore, over a period of time has your approach changed. So how would you describe your approach now?
Yeah, my own coaching philosophy hasn't changed loads and loads and loads from when I started out. I was always a very much a progressive thinking coach. Um, I didn't get bogged down in kind of systems of play or I didn't get bogged down in shape and stuff like that. I was always about kind of attacking football, free flowing football, uh, quick moving football to get it forward quickly. Um, so I would say what I've done now is I kind of refined that and made it more about exactly what I need to do. So I do an awful lot around counterattack. So the most of the work I would do with our younger players now will be all transition games. Like with 2v1s, 3v2s, 4v3s, 5v3s, etc. I do tons and tons and tons of that. One that's enjoyable for the young players, and it's also enjoyable for the older players, but I don't get bogged down with looking at like current trends as such. I know if you look at Man City for the last probably 10 years, they can pass the ball. That's something that I haven't gone into as such, but it is something that I understand as when, up to levels and stuff, you have to be able to develop players to understand a bit about that they can obviously build possession, have a possession-based team, to whereas my philosophy would be more so counter-attack, quick transitions, play forward quickly. I like to play with good wide players. I like to play with sometimes a one off each other. So it's quick attacking football, if you know what I mean. That's what that was. I always liked that type of football.
You're going to share a session with us this evening?
I do some ambassador work for the LMA, and this is one of the sessions I've done for them. Um, I just think it's basically what it is continuous counterattack. So I can do this with the younger ones, or I can do this with basically any type of players. I found this very good, particularly if you've gone on a little run of bad results in the senior team. This might be kind of a match day -1 little session where it's buzzy, it's quick, it's sharp, it's a real team game. Everybody buys into it. You get loads of goals scoring chances. Where with the younger ones, they just love it because it's frantic. It's really frantic, but you can still use your players to help you overload with possession as well. Like so, it's a quite a good one. It's in a high tempo session, well, so you probably do only 2 minute sets with younger kids, and maybe a 4 minute set with older players. And depends on your distance and the size of your grids as well, and how big you want them far away from each other. It's a back-to-back goal game. So I'll just put onto this one here. So it's a reverse goal game. So you'll see here we have a 25 by 35 area. You have 16 players and two goalkeepers. Um, so what happens is ball starts in the middle. So there's a red team and a blue team. So if you see on the outside, you have extra red players. Okay. So what'll happen is the coach might throw the ball in here. Four other extra red players, one, two, three, four, will join in. So you got an 8-3-4 overload. These players on the outside, we would limit them to two touches. And what will happen is these Reds will try and break down these four to get shots on goal. Okay. So what will happen is, yeah, they could keep possession, so drag them out of shape. Or what they might do is just get in quickly, bounce it quickly, little 1-2s, quick play in around the penalty box, get shots off. Okay. So if they don't score, let's say the Blues win it back here, they turn out then quickly, regain the ball and play it into grid two. So then you'll see there's an overload here. One, two, three, four. So you got your four Blues now sprinted back in to support these Blues. Okay, and you got your four recovery defenders coming in, the Reds. So now you got your 8-3-4 overloading here again. Okay, so it's a continuous. If the ball rarely goes out in the 2 minutes or the 3 minutes or 4 minutes, whatever you do. And again, you always have a little kind of channel here. So it's a kind of a rest channel. So when it's 100 miles an hour, the coach is important in controlling this session. So when it goes in here, then again, it's an 84 overload for the Blues, and then you're just trying to work your combinations to break it down. If this goalkeeper saves it here, okay, let's say this keeper saves it, he now transfers the ball over to the opposition. So he's playing with the Reds. This guy is playing with the Blues. So obviously he's trying to keep a clean sheet as well for his team. So it's competitive for everybody, and everybody's working as a team and as a unit. And then obviously add up your score. So let's say you go four sets of 4 minutes, so 16 minutes. But that's really high intensity work, and it's good work as well. Like in relation to, it's really high tempo. You can keep it two touch. Although I like these players to have as many touches, so like to try one on ones on the outside, try and create 2v2s. And then what happens is as they get tired, and this is what always happens, when the transfers start to happen, what somebody start getting lazy. One of the defenders start getting lazy. So you get your overloads in here, 4v3, and then plus your four. So you get loads of overloads in as well because you get lazy defenders or you get players not tracking. So a midfielder not tracking back. If he's not doing his job, the team's getting, hey, you got to get back in, give us that defensive cover. So it's an attacking and defensive session. So it's really, really good. It's a high tempo set. There's like, I mean, all the rest of it's just objectifying. Like, so you see the coaching points in terms of attack and play. We're looking for good decision making by the players, where and when to dribble. So obviously, if a blue picks it up, he can sprint in with the ball with his feet. He can score if he wants, or he can connect with the, or sorry, for red connect, he can connect here. Um, then you have the detail of the pass. Should it be on the ground, a driven pass, a flat pass to get the counter attack moving forward as quickly as possible. It is also important for players can recognise where and when to use this help the outside support players. You want to see good off the ball support from the attacking players from creating overloads, and they should use good angles, good support, moving, effective shot selection. So if the shot selection is wild, you could be turning over possession to the other team. So that's what we say sometimes. Can you keep for an extra pass to open up that situation? We get a shot on target. You're trying to get as many shots. In terms of defensive play, we want to see players tracking runners, delaying the attacks, getting a good defensive shape as a back four. You can put another one, there's a five. It depends on your numbers. Discipline defending is important, as also being able to spot the right moment to turn defense into attack, so the transition moment. And more the typical, you see, the coach is important in controlling the session. Due to the session it becomes so frantic, the coach has to settle down sometimes, so it becomes a technique very messy. So it's important that the setup and the rules and all are explained very, very carefully at the start. So it keeps the flow of the session. But it's my go-to session for a little uplifter. So we've
Mm.
had three bad results in a row. Want to keep it lively during the week, get our work done. But this could be a little Thursday session before Friday night. Short, sharp, boom, 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 16, 20 minutes or in around that. And I think it gives everyone a good buzz.
So that it looks brilliant, right? That session there, how many players a total are you talking?
On this one, I just use 16.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
you can do that with as little as 10. You could
Mm.
just use maybe two bounce players.
Yeah.
You can adjust it whatever way you like, you know. And again, your size and your goal size. Let's say I hadn't got big goals. I usually do this with the big goals, the rollout goals. But you can do it with little pop-up goals. You know what I mean? I
Mm.
can do little seven-a-side goals on the sides for five-a-side or seven-a-side. It depends what you have and your numbers that you have, you know.
I think a couple of takeouts for me and for coaches if they were looking at this, Mitch, as well. And I've done variations of this myself back in the day. Um, is the work ethic that's needed, the awareness, I
Yeah,
suppose, to where they are on the pitch as well. And it's a small picture for the big picture on a Friday nights as you. And I think communication is brilliant for as
yeah,
well. And for a coach out there, that's all the questions when you were presenting and tutoring coach education courses. What do I do with my goalkeeper, Paul? There's
yeah.
a session there that if you have two goalkeepers, they're going to be very, very busy for
Busy,
that
yeah.
16, 20 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
You
No,
know, it's fantastic.
it is a good session, and it nearly flows itself. And you always
Correct.
players ask for that as well. Sometimes you know you have to do the bad stuff, and then you might reward them with a little bit of good stuff. But
Mitch, do you control that? Sorry, do you control the tempo of the session with a
yeah,
whistle or your voice?
I'm usually voice,
Yeah,
uh,
I'd be the
but I
same.
will have a whistle to stop and start this, or I might
Yes.
have someone with me with a. I use when I coach, I don't like to be looking at a stopwatch, because I like to
Yeah.
see what I'm doing. A lot of the time you end up looking at your watch. So a lot of the time I like to have someone time a session and have a whistle to stop and start a session so where I can verbally coach. Because I get frantically involved as well, like in relation to trying to keep the tempo of the session high or slowing it down. You know, if
Yeah,
it's getting a bit
correct.
too frantic where you got to get a bit of control back on it. So I would like to use my voice mostly, you know.
And I think it's important for coaches out there to actually realize how effective their voice can be, whether it's to up the tempo of a session or actually, as you said, lower the tempo of a session as
Exactly,
well.
exactly. Because it could be 100 miles an hour, but there's absolutely no quality. Like there's
Correct.
no quality. It's all over the place. Where if you can control it and say, and then somebody, you know yourself, you just might have to stop it for a couple of seconds. Let's get a bit of control on this, a little bit of organization without possession. You know what I mean? But you're talking about the intensity. We put trackers on the guys in this, and some of the stats on this for like your high intensity runs and your sprints was way, way off the charts. So if you're looking at again, you're looking at your match days and stuff like that, but this is a short, sharp session. So it's not too endurance stuff. It's just short, sharp, quick, short, sharp sprints. So it's ideal kind of maybe Wednesday or Thursday before the game, like, you know.
For me as well, looking at that, as you were saying, if you're on the back of a bad run or not playing well, you're doing something like it's buzzy, it's sharp,
Yeah.
it's intense, say there's goals. And if I was running that session, I like I say, if you were doing 2 to 4 minutes, I probably wouldn't stop. I'd let it go and then coach in the breaks,
Yeah,
unless there was
exactly.
something that you really. And I think you say just to get the players playing because
Yeah,
here he is in again, or stop. If it's those quick ones, you go bang, let him play, and then you're noting there's 1 or 2 points that we've been working on over the last couple of weeks or whatever, and just go in the breaks while they're getting their drink.
yeah,
What do we expect here? Was the pass, and as you say, decision making, whatever it is, the quality of the pass, and then yeah, can you correct that? And then you go back in again and you let them at it. And
yeah.
say the session that I had on the last day was not similar to that, but it's like it's small sided, it's quick, it's sharp, it's buzzy, and I think the players love that. And
Oh, I
it's
love it.
you
Yeah,
know plenty
absolutely.
of transitions, goals going in, losing possession, can you
Yeah.
gain it back? Everything. I love that.
And then,
Just
like, you know, you
yes,
have your little punishment with the younger ones. We do a thing called donkeys. It's like a burpee, and then they all go donkey. So
Yeah,
even the kids going, like, will you do donkeys? So like,
yeah, yeah,
so they know now the blue team loses. We're doing donkeys, lads. So they'll be
yeah.
going full tilt. Like it's brilliant. Like then the older ones are at each other. Well, you know, they're blaming each other. And you should have closed him. You should have done this. You didn't work. You know, so there's a bit of everything in it. You know.
Yeah, and
I
like
think I think
sorry, as I was saying as well, sometimes we said to our players, "Oh, what would you like to do tonight?" We give them the session before we get going. I'm sure if your lads, if you gave them a choice, a lot of them would come up with that game. So
Yeah,
the players enjoy it and they put it in and they'll get a lot out of it.
yeah,
yeah, I suppose the last thing I'd like to say on it as well, and it's just even listening to Mitch and Ollie just chatting there for the last minute or so about it. If you're really in, if you're If you're not that parent that unfortunately you don't want to be in the situation as managing your young lad's team or young girl's team, if you're have football in your blood, shall we say, and you played it from a young age like ourselves, we all did. Um, Even now as a 56-year-old on Friday, I'd love to do that. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And I can see that enthusiasm even when Ollie, you were talking about the one you do, maybe with a small side of goal, and Mitch described. I can see the actual glint in you two as coaches as well.
But
That
Paul,
is the
do
profession
you
I'd love
think
to do.
do you think
Yeah.
you'd be able to do some of the donkeys if you were on the losing team?
No,
You'd have
Yeah,
to consider that.
I
yeah,
would say I would take up either one of the goalkeeping roles or probably the coach. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Just on that as well, I suppose. Look, that's kind of a lot of the stuff we base our stuff on the small side of fast, frantic football, because I'm trying to develop more street footballers again.
correct.
And
Yeah,
there's a kid up in the academy at the moment. I won't name it. He's in the younger groups, but there's actually just two or three, and they're proper street footballers. And one of them's from a block of flats in town, and there's another lad. He's out. I don't know where he's from. He's from out the country a little bit, up around kind of North County Dublin. But he's a proper street. I said, how was he? He said he never stops with a ball. He said the ball is just stuck with him 24/7. I know that's an old cliche, but the guy from town is obviously playing with older lads. You can see it in his touch and his disguise and his cuts inside, outside. And the other little fella who was obviously now kind of done, but is not in that environment. But at the same time, because he's just with the ball all the time, I say he's probably playing in the schoolyard, etc., etc. Proper street footballers, like you just don't, I don't see that anymore, which is a pity. Like even we did the street leagues this year in town, and you always see a couple of special ones. But I've only seen four or five maybe in the last couple of years. I've seen townies like proper street footballers. I haven't seen in a while either.
Just before we finish up, I have a couple of questions. So we're talking about street footballers, right? What are the characteristics of a street footballer?
Look, I suppose the one of the best we've seen this comes by Wes Howland as such.
Mm.
Now that's my definition of a street footballer. Like I worked in the inner city for years, so I've seen loads and loads of good street footballers. And come back to the point with Paul said there, I have not seen proper street footballers.
But what is it about them? Because Ollie, you would have played with Wes, I think,
Yeah.
didn't you? But what is it about them? Is it mentality or is it just the skill, the freedom, the
It's yeah, to me, it's probably skill and freedom. Like Wes Houlihan would play the way Wes plays, whether he's playing on the street or he was playing in a World Cup final. And
Yeah,
I always, I see, he should have played way more for Ireland. But I remember sitting watching him with people at games and going, if you're watching it on television, just if Ireland are in possession, watch and you'll see Wes Hewlett and he's coming with his hand out, showing them, I want it here on the left or I want it on the right. Always looking for the ball. Always take the ball in, even if there's players around him. Never shied away from it. And like that, you could bang it into him and he'd have two or three, and next thing he'd be gone away from him, drop of the shoulder or whatever. And he's
yeah,
gone. Balls, players are this way, he's gone the other way. And it's just, I don't know, it's hard to, it's
yeah.
just
It
that
is hard to
freedom and
describe.
that skill. And it's
Yeah,
but always comfortable on the ball, always looking for the ball, never shied away from taking the ball in, no matter how the game was going. And as I say, he was just play the same, whether it was the World Cup final or he was out in the street playing with his mates.
I think Paul as well. If you go back, and I know Mitch's experience in inner city Dublin, and I suppose in urban areas of street football or back in the day, it's tight spaces. Not only had they to get around their, as an 8 year old, their 16-year-old cousins, and older kids, and I think Mitch referred to that as the playing with older kids, and older young lads or young ones on the street. The other thing was there was lampposts. There was
yeah,
curbs to be navigated. There was cars to be navigated. There was dogs to be navigated. So there was a lot going on in the street. So for a young lad playing football, there was a lot of turning, there was a lot of twisting, there was a lot of maneuvering, and it was that. So when they got out onto an open piece of ground, which was a pitch, where there was only 11 lads on the opposition, and they were all the same age as him, it seems an awful lot easier, and probably there was a lot more space. But street footballers for me on a pitch, actually, they make the game effortless because they actually are so in control of the ball that they never actually have to run with their head down. They always run with their head up. which is a huge advantage to a kid because if a kid is dribbling with a ball and they keep having to look down to see where the ball is, that's time.
Yeah,
And in a congested midfield or something like that, that takes time. Whereas a street footballer goes and their head is 99.9% of the time is looking up, is navigating around where they're going and seeing a pass and whatever. So Wes for me and lads like Wes, uh, dribbling and running with the ball, they always had their heads up. So they were able to do things that bit quicker and they looked as if they had more time than everyone else.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I played against Paddy McCourt a few times
Oh,
as well.
Paddy McCord's
There
a
you
good one.
go. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, I played full back in Drogheda and he was playing on the wing and was going, like he's running at me, standing up and going, don't buy the drop of the show, don't buy it. Bought it. He's gone. Like I'm one way and he's gone the other way with the ball. And it's just, like I say, it's effortless. It's
yeah,
like he's going to do it. He's just done. And it's so natural and he's just gone.
yeah,
It's fantastic to watch.
yeah.
Not so
We
enjoyable
did,
to be playing against
yeah.
at times, but you do appreciate it after and going like what a player he was as well.
Yeah.
When there's a little game that we do with the 10 to 12-year-olds. It's called Maradona. So we've four goals on the outside, and it's defended by a defender, and there's 10 balls in the middle. So you've got 2 minutes to score as many goals as you can. So you
There you
pop
go.
in, you get your ball, you dribble it, can't go to that goal, you check out the other goal. It's about maybe a 15 by 15 area, whatever age group he adjusts it
Yeah,
to. But that kid from town, every week he wins it
yeah,
because he's just so intelligent with his feet and disguises and checks and he does rolls and he's just excellent. He's just absolutely
yeah.
excellent. It's a joy to see that. But you know the mad thing is, and you'll all know this as well. I've never seen him play in a level side game. He could be dreadful, but I know that he's a really, really good small sided game player.
Yeah,
So he could be really good at futsal or something like that. But in relation to like in the 2v2, 3v3, 4v4 environment, he's exceptional. And he's way ahead of all the kids. But then, as I said, I haven't seen him play 11v11 game yet, or whatever, maybe 9v9. And that's something I have to endeavour to do is just go and see him in a game now, you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
But
yeah.
Mitch, you just mentioned futsal there, and I know a good bit about futsal going back in the day with Derek O'Neill when Derek used to run it in the FAI and doing courses and different things, bringing the futsal courses over here to Ireland for the first time and whatever back in the day, and they were great. And futsal, for me, in my personal opinion, futsal should have been embraced a bit more by the association because of all the things it develops. But even for that kid, and I know Kamir, please God, he goes out, he goes far in the game. Once he keeps playing the game and enjoying it is the main thing. But if he's more successful than that, brilliant. But even for a player like that, if he develops and you still think that a kid like that is really good at futsal, there's a pathway in futsal. There's a livelihood to be made out of futsal in other countries around Europe, be it Spain, Italy, France, wherever. There's professional leagues and that as well. So there's actually pathways for good little street footballers that actually are very
Yeah,
good at futsal as well.
for sure, yeah.
Mitch, I just before we finish, I just wanted to mention to you about defending, right? So you talked a lot about your attacking philosophy,
Yeah,
but I've no doubt you build in defending into
yeah.
your sessions. So do you tend to build those principles into these types of games, or would you actually focus on defending?
No, yeah,
You
you know,
did
in
mention
fairness,
pressure on the ball earlier, so
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, like if you overdo the attacking stuff, like you're never going to develop a defender, that type of thing. So like the other day, look, in fairness, we're preparing this under 18 squad to play Palace and QPR, but we did a whole syllabus. We did an out of possession day, so we started with 2v2s, 3v3s, 4v4s. So that was at the under 18 squad. With the younger ones, we do make them understand that defending is a part of the game. And you try and find defenders within them groups that are good at defending. Some kids are naturally good at defending or blocking the goal. So you encourage that if they've made a good defensive situation, if they've won their 1v1 duel or they've won their 2v2 duels and they get a transition, that's good defending. And you make sure that the players understand that they've done that. Even though we're trying to say that's about attacking philosophy all the time, it's attack, 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 attack. There has to be a part of it as well where look at you have to defend as well. And we might just stop that briefly for a second and say in a 2v2 situation, we might say, right, first of all, bit of pressure and cover. Can you stop the pass going forward? And if you nick it, the ball, can you go forward yourselves and score into the goal? So we're trying to incorporate that there is attack, but there is defense as well. And then if they're transition, they have to get behind the ball to stop the other team from scoring. So we try and do it in the simplest way we can without overcoaching it with the young ones, if you know what I mean. But there's some players are just naturally good defenders, like they just like defending, and
Yeah.
that happens as well, you know.
The better your defenders are, the harder the attackers will have to work to
Yeah,
try and get
exactly.
away around them as well. So you can't have them not able to defend either. So
So I mean, like, you know yourself, is the art of defending dying at the highest level? I don't know. It's I suppose the Premiership is what we always kind of look at and what we gauge it off. Uh, there is good defenders within the Premiership, but there's a lot of bad defending as well, I think, at the moment, you know what I mean? Because the teams are so stretched when they play out and stuff like that, you know what I mean? The fullbacks are so high, centre backs get very isolated. If they don't have that cover, like it's a tough job being a defender now because you have a lot of ground to cover as defenders, you know, and it's not like the old days where you could play in a really tight little area, tight box. It's now there's big distance between centre backs, full backs, sixes, etc., like you know what I mean. So the art of defending is something. It's you're nearly more athletic than you are a defender almost, if you know what I mean.
yeah, it's back to your 1v1 defending. You have to
Yeah,
be comfortable
yeah,
doing that, you say, especially your centre backs now, because they can get exposed. You say full back's gone and all, so
yeah,
you're going, whoa, I'm
yeah,
on my
yeah,
own here. So you have to be a good 1v1 defender, yeah.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.